Can everybody please rise? Calling this meeting to order. Can everybody please rise for the flag salute as able? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. This meeting of April 8th, 2024 was included in a list of meetings notice to the Hunter County Democrat and Courier News on January 3, 2024, posted on the bulletin board of Borough Hall on that date, and has remained continuously. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the Borough Clerk. Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Engelhardt. Here. Councilwoman Fasara.
Here.
Councilman Levitt is absent. Council President Long.
Here.
Councilman Parker.
Here.
Council Vice President Rossetti.
Here.
And Mayor Carroll.
Here, thank you. All right, we're going to start this meeting off with a presentation from Dan Banker from NW Financial regarding the Liberty Village pilot agreement. For members of the public that are either in the room or on Zoom, this is a presentation, though if you have some questions at the end, I probably will allow it. There will be possibly an introduction of this ordinance at the end of the presentation, and then when the public hearing is scheduled, the public will be allowed to ask as many questions as they want. This pilot information is posted on our website. So Dan, take it away.
Thanks, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and Borough residents. My name is Daniel Banker. I work with NW Financial Group as the financial advisor for the borough. I'm here to present a PowerPoint presentation on the proposed project known as Liberty Village. So the proposed project will include 104 market rate for sale townhouses, split evenly between 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom units. The 2 bedrooms are estimated to be about 2,000 square feet, and the 3 bedrooms are estimated to be about 2,500 square feet. They will be split amongst 21 3-story buildings, and included in those buildings will be 7 for sale affordable townhouses. Same 2,000 square foot and 2,500 square foot breakdown, 2 of which are 2 bedrooms and 5 are 3 bedrooms. In addition, there will be 12 rental apartments specified for veterans, and they will be in 2 3-story buildings. The project also includes the renovation of 1 Church Street, which will include 1,452 square feet of retail space. This is the estimated project cost breakdown that was provided by the developer. There's a lot of numbers on here, but the total project cost is estimated to be $73.5 million. That's split between the townhouse component, both market rate and affordable, the rental component for the veterans, and the retail component. You can see the bottom table is the breakdown of the construction costs that you see highlighted above. So for example, on the townhouse component, the estimated construction cost number is $42.2 million. That can be broken down between hard costs, general conditions, carpentry, electrical, plumbing. So I just want to point out that the townhouse component is estimated to cost $68.5 million, which is the equivalent of about $617,000 per unit. The estimated costs are significantly higher than we would typically see, but part of that reason is because of the significant public improvement costs that are associated with this project. You'll see that there's about $11.5 million of public improvements, and this is sorted by cost high to low. So almost half of that is based on the new roads and infrastructure. You have $2.5 million in environmental remediation, an infrastructure contribution of $1.75 million, and so on. You also have the donation of 9 Church Street, a 7,500 square foot park, a new well at the police station, and certain one-time payments for maintenance of some of these items.
Dan, those values all came from the redeveloper.
Correct.
Okay.
So now we get into the negotiated pilot terms. And before we go there, I will say that as part of our analysis, the first thing that we do is we look at the project under a conventional tax scenario to determine if a pilot is necessary. So on the next slide, we'll go through how that analysis turned out and how we got to where we are today. But based on that analysis, we determined that this project could not move forward under conventional taxes. And after significant negotiations with the developer, we came to an agreement on what we're proposing here today, on the market rate townhouse component. The pilot will be based on a percentage of OAT, OAT standing for otherwise applicable taxes. So that is essentially what conventional taxes would be based on the land and improvement assessment. So in year one, it would be 50%. That bumps up to 55% in years 2 through 5. Again, it increases to 65% in years 6 through 10, and so on to 70 and 85%. That would be for a term of 22 years. When accounting for where we believe conventional taxes will be, which has been confirmed with the tax assessor, we've had numerous conversations about where we believe the sales values will be, and in turn where conventional taxes would be. You can see the per unit amount that those come out to. So in year one, for example, the per unit pilot amount would be 6743, and that number increases as the percentage increases. For the affordable component, it would be based on 30% of otherwise applicable taxes for the 22-year term, which comes out to that $1,683 number per unit, and increases as sale prices increase. On the rental, the 12 rental units that are dedicated to veterans, that one will be 10% of gross revenue for 30 years. And then the last piece is the retail component, which would also be based on a percentage. This one would be based on a percentage of revenue, 10% for the first 10 years, 11% for years 11 through 16, and then 12.5% for years 17 through 20. Just as a comparison, when we first started the negotiations of these pilots, the developer was requesting $3,500 per unit on the market rate units, and that would stay fixed for the first 5 years and increase by 5% in years 6 and on. So here we're starting significantly higher on a per unit basis on the market rate townhouses, and as well as the affordable, they started at $1,000 per unit. And that stayed constant until year 16, where it increased to $1,500. Here we're starting at, almost $1,700 per unit. So this slide shows the analysis that we did to determine if a pilot was necessary, and if so, at what level. So as mentioned before, we had multiple conversations with the assessor to determine where he believed the market was for these 2 and 3 bedroom units. We also looked at recent sales in the borough as well as nearby neighborhoods that were sold in the last 3 years to determine what the comps look like. This is a unique product, as there aren't many new townhouses, especially of this size, in the borough and the surrounding area. But based on those comps, we came to an agreement that we believe that these units would sell, the 2 bedroom units would sell for $430,000 if they paid full taxes, and $500,000 for the 3 bedroom units if they paid full taxes. And you can see what our tax assumption is there. It's basically based on the effective tax rate of 2.9%. So for example, year one, the proposed pilot would be based on 50% of conventional taxes. So they'd be saving, the same amount as they'd be paying. So for the 2 bedroom, they'd be paying $6,235, and they'd be saving $6,235 as compared to conventional taxes. Now, we have just, in my earlier slide, it's estimated that these projects will cost $617,000 per unit. Based on our analysis, we looked at the value of the pilot in 2 different ways. First, we looked at what the owner would pay in conventional taxes over a 22-year period where they're paying full taxes. Then we looked at what the owner would pay under the proposed pilot for that same 22-year period. And we took the present value of that number. So in the first case, the low value of the pilot, that number came out to, for a 2-bedroom unit, of $59,000. What that essentially means is, because the owner knows that they will be paying a reduced amount on their taxes, they are willing to pay more upfront for the purchase of the property. That same analysis was done for the 3 bedrooms, and that came out to a value of roughly $68,000, $69,000. The next part of our analysis was what we consider the high value of the pilot, which is where we determined the sales price that would result in the mortgage payment and the tax payment being the equivalent of the mortgage payment plus the tax payment under a full tax scenario, where they'd be willing to pay the same amount in both scenarios. And because you're paying less in the taxes, you could pay more in your mortgage. In that case, for the 2 bedrooms, the pilot would be valued at $74,000, and the 3 bedrooms would be valued at $86,000. So based on that analysis, compared to where we are beginning with our assumption on where these units would sell under conventional taxes, we have the range, the average range of sale price between $529,000 to $545,000. That is our analysis. Now, that is based on what's in the market currently. That's based on what we've seen that has sold recently. And again, this is a unique product. So the developer is assuming that the average sales price will be $625,000. And that makes sense in the sense that they're estimating the cost will be $617,000. So they will need that sales price to be at $625,000 to make a profit. Now, they may be able to be more efficient on their costs, so maybe that $617,000 number comes down. But based on what we see in the market today, we believe the range of sale prices is $530,000 to $545,000. The developer is taking the risk that he believes that they'll be able to sell the units for more. So this is an analysis of the projected pilot for the market rate townhouses only over the 22-year period. This assumes that 4 units are sold per month, so 48 units per year. And you'll see, so in year 1, as you go across, and I know there's a lot of numbers here, but you have the per unit amount and the percentage of otherwise applicable taxes. Then you have the gross pilot, and that number doesn't become stabilized until all of the units have sold. So as units are sold, more units are paying the pilot, and the pilot revenue increases for the borough. So really what we should be looking at is year 4, which is the stabilized year. And so in year 4, it's projected that the gross pilot would be $818,000, of which 5% would go to the county. There would also be a 2% admin fee. So the borough share of the pilot in year 4 would be approximately $800,000. As a comparison, we take a look at what the breakdown between the borough and the school would be under conventional taxes. But as we've shown before on our earlier slides, under conventional taxes, they would not be able to sell these units at a profit. So a pilot is necessary in order to allow for the proper economics for them to make this project work economically. So over the 22-year period, you have a projected borough share of the pilot for the market rate townhouse units of $25.5 million. Next, we come to the affordable townhouse units. This is the analysis that we did to project where. So affordable townhouse for sale units are unique. They're somewhat rare, but there is a calculation based on UHAP on the percentages of area median income, the breakdown between the units of the percentages, how many 1s, 2s, and 3-bedroom units are required. And based on that information, the calculation suggests that the average sale price would be $170,000. That's at full taxes. But again, if you offer a pilot, it allows the sales price to increase because these residents are paying 30% of their income. In this case, for example, the one bedroom unit one under full taxes would pay $125,000. In this case, under the proposed pilot at 30% of OAT, that increases to $162,000. That same analysis as the market rate townhouse component was done for the affordable. So you'll see in year one, and we're assuming that all units are sold in year one in this case, and the projection is for $11,784 as a gross pilot. Again, 5% goes to the county. There's a 2% admin fee that goes to the borough, and the borough share would be approximately $11,400. And over the 22-year term, the borough share would be $312,000. The veterans apartment, same analysis. This would be based on 10% of gross revenue. These rents are also based on a percentage of AMI. It's based on UAC standards. You have certain units at low, certain units at moderate income, but essentially the average breaks out to 52% of AMI. So based on those rents, the gross pilot would be $22,000, of which the borough receives 95%, including a 2% admin fee. So over the 30-year term, the borough share of that pilot would be approximately $970,000. Last component is the retail component. This would be based on 10% of gross revenue, increasing to 12.5% by year 20. The borough share is estimated to be about $1,600 in year one, and over the 20-year term, about $48,500. So with all that being said, I know there were a lot of numbers there, but if we take a look at the project as a whole, as compared to what the site is generating currently, you'll see at current taxes, which is based on block 35, lots 31, 53, 54, 69, 71, and a portion of 22. Current taxes being generated are $173,000, of which the borough receives approximately $64,000 a year. Under the projected pilot, the proposed pilot tonight, across all components, if we take a look at stabilization again in year 4, you're comparing the borough share of $67,726 to the borough share of $831,956. So there will be additional borough revenue of $764,000, and that number increases as the percentage of OAT, as the percentage of annual gross revenue increases throughout. So over the 22-year period, it's estimated that there will be an additional revenue to the borough of almost $25 million. That's assuming, just as so you know what the comparison is, that's assuming that no redevelopment happens on the property as it stands today, and conventional taxes increase by 2% every year. So the next part of our analysis was the municipal impact. Once we've identified the pilot revenue that could be generated by the proposed pilot, we need to determine what the associated costs would be to the new residents and the new public school children that are generated. What you're looking at here is a breakdown of the multipliers that we've used to determine new residents and new school children. These multipliers come directly from a study that was done by Rutgers University, known as Who Lives in New Jersey Housing. That study was originally written back in the late 2000s. It was updated in November of 2018 to include a new category known as new construction. And that looked at hundreds of thousands of units across the state and pulled real actual data of the number of residents and the number of school children living in those buildings. And that's based on rental versus condo, the number of units, the median values, and when they were built. And based on that information, they generated multipliers that could be applied to different bedroom sizes within different types of units. So based on those multipliers, it's estimated that across the market rate townhouses, the affordable townhouses, the veteran apartments, that there will be an additional 274 residents generated from this project, and an additional 25 public school children. To give you a sense of how that is in comparison to the current population, it'll increase the population by a little over 15%, and it would increase the current enrollment by a little less than 2%. Now that we've identified the number of residents and school children that are projected, we need to identify a cost of those residents and school children. The Division of Local Government Services has what's known as the PFAF model, the Pilot Financial Forecast Model, which takes certain line items from the budget and applies a percentage to those line items that gets impacted by the fluctuation of population. So taking those line items from your most recent budget and dividing that total number by the 2021 population, you get a per resident cost of $286. When it comes to the school children costs, we use the total classroom instruction number from the most recent Board of Education budget of $12,270. And we then apply the percentage of that comes from local revenue sources, which is 85%. So we get a net cost per student of about $10,500. So last two slides are the net benefit of the project. This first scenario is based on the numbers that you just saw. This is assuming the 274 residents and the 25 public school children. So if we take a look across on the far right, you have the net benefit column. So this is taking into account the borough share of the pilot revenue versus the cost of the new residents and the cost of the new school children. And you'll see you have a net benefit starting at $120,000, and that increases significantly as units are sold and the project stabilized. So over that 22-year time period, it's estimated that this project would generate approximately $18 million in a net benefit. Now, several questions have come up about the public school children projection. You know, is 25 school children a reasonable number? And from the information that we have, on the actual data that we've received, we believe that the multipliers are accurate. However, we understand that there may be more public school children. So we also did the analysis assuming that instead of 25 public school children, that's 75 public school children, to give you a sense of what the impact would be. So in that case, you'll see in the far right, the net benefit in the early years becomes slightly negative. And then quickly as the percentages increase and the building becomes stabilized, that becomes a positive number. So even in this scenario where 75 public school children are generated instead of the 25, you still have a positive net benefit over the 22-year term. And with that being said, if there's any questions.
I do want to just let everybody know that I did meet with Carrie McGann, the superintendent of Flummery School System, and she concurred with that number of 25. They ran their own analysis and came up with the same number. So let's start with the council. Can I just ask, can you tell me, is Jim Farron, our redevelopment attorney, on this call?
Yeah, he should be a panelist.
Okay, because I can't see who's, I can only see the council. Can we take down the financial screen so I can see the room and as well as the women that are online?
This is Jim Farron. This is Jim Farron. I'm on the line.
Thank you, Jim. Did Councilman Levitt get a chance to call in?
No.
Okay. All right, we still have that financial stuff up. Oh, thank you very much. But I don't see the whole room. I only see, shouldn't I be able to see like who's in the audience at this point? Just so I know if anybody has their hands up. But meanwhile, let's start with the council as far as if anybody has any questions or comments. Councilwoman Engelhardt.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, Dan, thank you so much for that really extensive and complete report. It was really helpful. Lots of numbers that went out. There was a couple questions that might, just because I might have just missed some of it. The study that you had mentioned regarding the loads on the public school children.
Yeah.
What year was that done again?
So I believe it was originally written in 2007, and then it was updated in November of 2018.
Okay, so it hasn't been updated since COVID either.
It has not.
Okay, I'm just
No,
curious.
but Carrie McGann concurs with the numbers that they have. She and I met, and she said that that's the number they have. Their estimated number.
Appreciate that little tidbit of information that you met with Superintendent McGann. That's fantastic. So, so thank you for that. Where did that study come from again? I kind of missed the beginning of your introduction.
Yeah, sure. It was the Center for Urban Policy Research at Rutgers University,
Okay,
the Blaustein School.
of course, okay, great. I spent a lot of time there at one point in my life. So my other question, relates to the anticipated sales costs, sales numbers that you anticipate the townhomes in particular selling at. You had two numbers that stood out to me, the 529 for 2 bedrooms, 545 for 1 bedrooms. That wasn't what you anticipated the developer would sell them at, but what you anticipated. Can you explain the difference between those two numbers?
Sure.
First of all?
So yes, in fact, those are our numbers that we believe these units would sell for under the proposed pilot. So the average, so if we look at the lower table on that slide, the 529,000, that is what we believe the average sale price on the low end would be between the 2 and 3 bedrooms combined. If you want to look at the individual 2 bedrooms, we believe on the low end would sell for 489, and on the high end would sell for 504. And for the 3 beds, the low end would be 569 and the high end would be 586.
So all of those numbers that you just mentioned, I'm assuming, obviously, you somehow take into consideration, you make an assumption that the developer makes some sort of percentage profit on each sale. What is that profit assumption, you know, in your, when you run your numbers, and where do you get that information from?
Right, so it's an interesting question, because based on our own analysis, if in fact the sales were to be what we believe from our, from the existing data that we have, and based on their proposed costs of $617,000, it would actually not have a profit.
Right, that's why,
Right,
you
so-
understand why this,
Absolutely.
I'm asking this question. Keep
So,
going.
and I spoke to the developer earlier today to talk about this item, and they are willing to take the risk, although, and we just have a disagreement on where we think the sale price may be, and we really don't know. And again, this is a new type of unit, brand new, larger, high end. So they may be accurate that it sells for $625,000 or more. And we hope that they do. But that's because their cost at $617,000, they will need to sell
Mhm.
at $625 for the developer to make a profit.
And did the developer explain to you whether they were planning on GCing this project themselves, or whether they were going to be engaging with the GC?
I believe they are engaging with the GC.
Okay, so that would be that would be built into their profit, obviously. I'm sorry, general contractor. Some developers, GC, they are basically a design build, and some are not, and but either way, that number would be baked into their profit. So I was just curious, because there's some savings there. Okay, I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Council President?
Yeah, so My question is more just, I mean, I know the answer to this question, but I just want this on the record, your answer. So as far as this pilot negotiation, could you just like, how did you do this? Like, what was the process? You're sitting there, who are you talking, like, that's
Yeah, sure.
just for the public to understand, like.
Yeah, so, we receive financials from the developer as to expected costs, expected revenues, any other expected expenses. We go back and forth in terms of what we think are reasonable assumptions, if we believe certain numbers should be tweaked. We spoke several times with the tax assessor, because in this case, where the conventional taxes are is very important and very key. Because that's the basis of our comparison as to whether or not these projects, these could be sold at a profit under conventional taxes. So we took a lot of time with Mr. Kerwin to determine where the conventional tax number would be. And the negotiations took a while because we were pretty far apart from their original request. But after going through the numbers, the developer we came to an agreement on where we thought it was a balance between the borough getting their fair share, but also allowing the developer to potentially make a profit, because they are investing a significant amount of dollars into this project, and especially with the public improvements that are involved.
Thank you. That was it. I didn't have anything else.
Thank you. Councilman Parker?
I just want to make sure I heard the numbers right. So the benefit to the borough on the units is about, what did you say, 25 million over a 30-year period? I just want to make sure I heard you.
I will confirm. Yes, so across all components over the 22-year period.
Well, it's 22.
Right, and I'm only using 22 because the majority of the components are at 22, except for the affordable veterans, they're at 30.
Mhm.
But over the 32-year or the 22-year period, the borough will receive $25 million more than they're currently receiving
Right.
over that same time period.
Over the same time period of 22.
Right, essentially, if no redevelopment
So
happened.
all in except for, I'm sorry. Which,
Yeah, so that includes the veterans, but there's also an additional 8 years of the pilot for the
Yeah.
veterans, so that's outside of that.
I just wanted to make sure. That's it.
Thank you. Council Vice President Rossetti?
Thank you, Mayor. No, thank you very much for all that information and my fellow council members' questions, but I've got everything covered for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Fasaro?
Wait, hold on. Oh, she must have got off. I just promoted her.
Okay. Can she hear? Councilwoman Fasaro, can you hear me?
There she is. Yeah, she must have dropped off.
No, she did.
No, I had to invite her
Oh.
again.
I'll come back to her. Is there anybody, Council,
Mute.
go ahead. What,
Councilwoman,
Carla?
she's on mute.
There she is.
Oh, Councilwoman Fasaro, you're on mute.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. No,
It's all right.
thank you very much for the detail. It's wonderful and it helps me to truly understand the benefit versus the pain sometimes of this type of development. And I think you got my other question, which was that final number, Tony, the 25 million more than if we were to keep that area as it is today. We are now going to receive 25 million more over 22 years in taxes and revenue. So that's it.
Thank you. Is there anybody from the public in the room who has any specific questions? Even though this is not a public hearing, Dan is here and he will be here from whenever we do have the public hearing. Council President Long, can you let me know, is there anybody in the audience that's got questions?
Yeah, we do. We have a resident who has a question.
Can you come up to the microphone, please? State your name for the record and your address.
Name is Lois Stewart and I live in the borough of Flemington and I no longer like to give my street address because I've been told that's not safe for old women who live alone. So you all know me and you know where I am. There was one slide that you showed where for so many years, if the price was this, that we would have a negative impact on the tax. Could you explain that better? And also, I'm very interested because those years will be the years that I hope I'm still alive in the borough of Flemington. And I want to know what the impact is going to be on the residential tax rate for us not having any positive impact on our revenue to support our budget.
Absolutely. So I believe the slide that you're talking about is the final slide, where the net benefit. Is it still on there?
Yes, yes.
So the final slide, that she's talking about is in the situation where this project generates 75 public school children. Right now, the multipliers, the study that was done by Rutgers is suggesting that it will only produce 25 public school children. But we wanted to look at it if it does, in fact, generate more public school children, 3 times as many as the Rutgers study is assuming, what would be the impact? So early on, the impact, if it was to produce 75 public school children.
But you did nothing between the 25 and the 75. Where is that break even thing where?
Yeah, so, and we could absolutely do that, and I can give you an idea of what that would be. So at 25 public school children, you have a positive benefit of about $18 million over the 22-year period. At 75 public school children, you have a positive benefit of about 5 million. So if you, for example, said 50 public school children were generated, it would be about half between that. So you'd be roughly $10 million in the positive as a net benefit.
And what year would that positive benefit be realized?
I would have to do the analysis to make sure, but I can absolutely get back to you.
Well, I
do
guess
that
I'm
analysis.
very concerned about the impact on the residential population that's already here in the town by taking in this new development. Yes, over 22 years, but a lot, I think the population in Flemington, I think it's like 20% of older adults.
Okay.
Is that correct? Is that correct? And, no, a lot of us, a lot of the older adults that live in this town are not well off.
So what we'll do, Lois, is we'll have Dan run those numbers for the public hearing for whenever that is. And you can make your public comments at that point for the actual record, and he can provide that analysis at that point.
Our taxes have gone up over the 2% this year, and we don't have the additional 25 kids or 50 kids or 75 kids or however many kids. And we don't have the additional 274 new residents that will all.
No, but the redevelopers contribution is going to also help us deal with some of the debt that the borough has been struggling with the last few years, which is why the budget's been going up. So, but this is not a comment period. It's a public presentation. So let him work those numbers, and you can come back to the public hearing and make your concerns known, and he'll have those answers for you prior to you speaking. We'll have him answer those questions at time. Anything else, Lois? No?
Concerns about 22-year pilot.
You need to get closer to the microphone. I can't understand you.
Yeah, I think she's done.
She's done.
Okay. Is there anybody online that has their hands up?
Nope.
No? Okay. So Jim, this question is for you. Are you satisfied that with this presentation by Dan, for the council to introduce the pilot ordinance tonight for the first reading?
Yes, yes, I am. Just to put some context in this, there are three distinct actions that are involved in the formulation of this redevelopment project. One of them is the amendment of the existing redevelopment plan for the area in need of redevelopment. That process had begun at an earlier meeting and has gone through the planning board and will return to the council for the adoption of an ordinance or resolution to amend the plan. The second element is there will be a redevelopment agreement. There is an existing redevelopment agreement, but an amended and restated version of it will be presented to council at an upcoming meeting. And then the third element is the ordinance before you, which is the for the financial agreements, the payment in lieu of taxes agreements or pilots for the three components of the project. The predicate action for your introducing this ordinance was the filing of an application, which has occurred, and accordingly. It was a complete application to the extent it was possible to be complete by the applicant. And therefore, it is appropriate and timely for the council to consider introduction of this ordinance. I will note that for final adoption purposes, we'll want to have one ministerial, I would say, bookkeeping action taken by the state, which the State Department of Community Affairs, which whenever a pilot entity is set up, all of these entities have the words urban renewal in them. Whenever they set up these specialized entities to receive tax abatements, the paperwork has to go to the state, has to be vetted, and has to be formally signed off on. That process has not happened yet, and that may or may not result in a delay of final adoption, but there is no impediment, I believe, to the introduction of the ordinance tonight.
Thank you. Is Bill Hance online and able to talk with us? I know he's introducing the watch budget tonight.
I don't
And
see him
if he-
on.
Okay, yeah, he's doing watch on, but he probably will get on at some point. Okay. Does the council have any issues with introduction tonight? You all good with introducing this ordinance? And then the final adoption will wait until sometime in the future when our redevelopment attorney says you're good to go and we have everything else in order.
I have a quick question for Jim. The DCA approvals, the final adoption cannot happen until until DCA comes back. Is that correct? Did I understand that?
That is my position, subject to getting contrary guidance from DCA. What happens oftentimes is there's a backlog and they try to get through I can't express to you the frustrations that the legal community has sometimes with DCA. Their job is simply to review articles of incorporation to make sure that they contain certain required terms and then to sign an approval letter. So it's not rocket science. They don't evaluate financial wherewithal. All they do is they look at the articles and the articles of incorporation or whatever the formative document is, ensure that it has the statutory requirements, and then they say, yeah. It's befuddling that it hasn't been approved yet. And ordinarily I would say, yeah, wait for approval. But if DCA comes out with a pronouncement saying because of the backlog, we authorize you to go ahead, then I'd change my mind.
Okay, that was the spirit of my question, because I know the architecture and planning community is probably just as frustrated as the legal community is with DCA when it comes to just delays. So I was concerned. I didn't know, if we had to wait, if that, it could be months. I want to make sure that that's still okay.
Again, I don't want to, how to say this? I don't want to cut off options. My sound best practice is to have it in place. But as with everything in life, if you find that, that is no longer practicable and that it is become accepted to move forward, I reserve the right to change my mind, to based upon how other council and how DCA is advising people to proceed. But we should wait. I mean, we should wait, and it should happen fast. And if it doesn't happen fast, then I'll explain my reasoning then. Best answer I can give you is the honest one.
Thank you, Jim. I get your point.
Okay, so if there's no objections from the council to introduce, then we will do that shortly under the main body of the agenda. Dan, thank you. You might want to just hang out a little bit longer, maybe until we do the introduction.
Yeah, sure.
It's up to you. Okay, we have two proclamations tonight. First one is a proclamation recognizing Arbor Day. Council Vice President Rossetti, would you please read that for the record?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So whereas Arbor Day was founded on April 10th, 1872 to recognize the importance of planting trees, and whereas Arbor Day is a time to recognize the importance of trees and an opportunity for communities to gather and plant for a greener future, and whereas Arbor Day is observed in all 50 states and across the world, and whereas participating in Arbor Day activities promotes civic participation and highlights the importance of planting and caring for trees and vegetation, and whereas such activities provide an opportunity to convey to future generations the value of land and stewardship, and whereas working forests have contributed to an increase in the number of trees planted in the United States and are sustainably managed with less than 2% of working forests nationally harvested each year, and whereas a key factor in preventing forest conversion and deforestation is keeping the forest productive, and whereas working forests are a critical part of a nature-based solution to climate change, and by providing a continuous cycle of growing, harvesting, and replanting, active forest management maximizes the ability to sequester and store carbon and improve forest resilience. And whereas private forests play an important role in conserving at-risk and declining species, and collaborative conservation efforts can benefit species while also helping to keep forests as forests, and whereas sustainably grown wood can be used in a wide variety of resilient infrastructure and building applications, from traditional timber framing to high-tech mass timber, and as a natural, renewable, and biodegradable material, the significant use of wood building materials in buildings and bridges helps decrease global carbon emissions. And whereas the Arbor Day Foundation and the Tree City USA program have been committed to greening cities and towns across the country since 1976, and in that time, more than 3,600 communities have made the commitment to becoming Tree City USA communities. And whereas National Arbor Day is observed on the last Friday of April each year, now therefore be it resolved, Mayor and Council of the Borough of Flemington supports the goals and ideals of National Arbor Day and encourages the people of the Borough of Flemington to participate in National Arbor Day activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman. Our next proclamation is celebrating National Autism Awareness Month. Council President Long, would you read that, please?
Absolutely, thank you. Resolution celebrating National Autism Awareness Month. Whereas autism spectrum disorder is a developmental disability encompassing a broad range of conditions characterized by challenges associated with social skills, repetitive behavior, speech, and nonverbal communication. And whereas as of March 2023, about 1 in 36 children has been identified with autism spectrum disorder, according to the estimates from the CDC's Autism Developmental Disabilities Monitoring Network. And whereas, according to the CDC Community Report, a snapshot of autism spectrum disorder in New Jersey, 1 in 32 children were identified with ASD in 2016. And whereas autism is 4 times more likely to occur in boys than in girls, but can affect anyone regardless of race, ethnicity, and other factors. And whereas in 2015, it was estimated the United States incurred approximately $268 billion in costs for autism research, educational spending, housing, transportation, employment, therapeutic services, caregiver costs, other insurance and non-covered expenses, and productivity losses. And whereas early diagnosis and intervention programs lead to significantly improved outcomes for individuals with autism, and whereas April 24, 2024 is designated as a National Autism Awareness Month to increase public awareness of the need to support individuals with autism and the family members, educators, and other professionals who teach and care for individuals with autism. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the municipality of Flemington Borough and the County of Hunterdon celebrates National Autism Awareness Month from April 1st to 30th, 2024, and be it further resolved that the Flemington Borough governing body recognizes and commends the family members of children with autism for their sacrifices and dedication in providing for the special needs of children with autism, and stresses the need to begin early intervention services soon after a child is diagnosed with autism.
Thank you very much. Okay, getting into the regular body of the agenda, mayor's report. I really don't have anything. It was a rather dramatic week last week and this week. I don't know how many more inches of rain the borough has had. So unfortunately, a banner crop year for rain and flooding. And then of course, on Friday, we had the earthquake, which really rocked this town. And then today was the eclipse. I am calling in from a small town in East Texas. I have been in not less than 5 small towns in the last 2 days. When everybody in Texas asked where we were from, and I would tell them one of 2 things and then both things. The earthquake, only a few miles from the epicenter, they knew where we were. But more importantly, when I asked them if they knew and had heard of the Lindbergh kidnapping case, and we held the trial in our town, everybody knew that. So Flemington is still well known in Texas, on the other side of this country, for having Lindbergh kidnapping trial. It is still a significantly important event that happened, if not the most important event that ever happened in our town. So I'm just cherishing the history as the Historic Preservation Commission, has announced having another house tour, and the courthouse, the historic courthouse, is going to be part of that, which played a major role, the major role in the kidnapping case. So that is my report from Texas. Council President Long.
Sure. A couple of items tonight. Fire department, just some quick incident numbers for the month of March. There were 19 calls in March. Again, the removal of a victim from an elevator. I'm going to ask about that. I wonder if it's the same elevator. I'm not sure. There were 5 dispatched and canceled en route calls. There were 4 malfunctioning alarms and 1 system activated, but it was incorrect. Just a few numbers. Chief Umgelter would like everybody to know that the fire department continues to use the Liberty Village property for training that they would not normally be able to do. Over the past year, this has been an invaluable resource made available to them with the assistance of the fire marshal's office and the developer. OEM, April's disaster preparedness month, the Flemington Borough Office of Emergency Management urges citizens to take steps to prepare for floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, and other emergencies. As we have seen in the last few days, any disaster can strike at any time. Residents are urged to ensure that they are signed up to the borough-specific alerts from the Office of Emergency Management by registering under the Alerts tab on the borough website. And that is my report.
Thank you, Council President. Council Vice President Rossetti.
Thank you, Mayor. I too have been eclipsing today, so I apologize for the darkness. I'm on the side of the highway in Pennsylvania. So just a quick reminder about the park cleanup coming up, but I think Councilwoman Engelhardt will give more details on that. So that's all I've got for now.
Thank you very much. Drive safely. Councilwoman Fasaro, while I'm online.
Really, I think information on the library, we're going to be discussing that later, so I will table that for that time. An apology to our borough residents and business owners, all stakeholders having an eye issue. I promise I will be there in person the next time. No reason other than a health issue. So looking forward to our little borough library discussion in a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Parker.
Yes, just a couple of things. So we finally had a meeting with the Arts Committee, and we're kind of working through processes and applications with Beth McManus, who's been tremendous help with the group. And we hope to have something up and running within the next month or so. So you will notice that on resolution coming up that we are doing several promotions for police officers. But more importantly, I've been working really, really diligently with the entire police force, and that is to put in some definitive structure and to enforce community policing. So you should be seeing over over in the communities in which you live, the police are actually walking through the communities and getting to know residents and getting to know business owners and just having some visibility. I just think it's important that their face is shown. That said, I do want to talk a little bit. I know that you guys have seen a lot of information about Ulta being, there's been these robberies in Ulta and the whole bit, but rest assured, I just want you to rest assured, Ulta has a great system in place for actually detecting and identifying where people who have robbed them in the whole bit, and it seems to be more of a professional type of organizations to do that. That said, one of the things that is happening is that the police chief has actually started putting cars, police cars in the parking lots, and they're walking the parking lots as well. So there is some visibility there to help to kind of mitigate that risk that's over there. And it says it's not only Ulta, it's also Home Goods, and it's also anybody else that's over there. So there is going to be police presence there, and it's already actually started. So really want to take my hat off to them for doing that. Finally, the newsletter is actually happening. It was sent out today to be published. I will say the focus on the newsletter this time, which was my focus today, and I apologize for being so late, is that it's on introducing all the professionals and the council people and the mayor that serve the borough. Unfortunately, Susan, you're not in there because I didn't get your information in time, but we'll put you in the next one. But anyway, so that should be coming out next week. Now, what I am going to ask is for the council to help with distributing some of the newsletters to even just on their streets, on their blocks, and I'll take care of the businesses. But it would be a big help if we can just rally, all of you rally to help get those distributed. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Councilwoman Engelhardt.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The annual RIFIS tours, the Reading Fleming Intermediate School tours for the historic Fleming House are coming up next week and the week after, April 15th, 16th, 22nd, and 23rd. And the reason why I mention it is we are looking for volunteers. You don't have to speak, you don't have to present, but we would love it if we could get more people familiar with the process and our public presentation. And this is a really great opportunity to volunteer. So if you are available during the hours of 8 and 2 p.m. on those dates, please reach out to me. You don't have to volunteer that entire time. We're looking for 2-hour shifts. I really want to get more people engaged, and including my fellow council members. If anybody is interested and available during those times, you're welcome. I'd love everybody to see the hardworking folks over there and what we do as far as outreach. Our charter. One of our main items in our charter is education, and it's really important. I just wanted to do a quick shout out to a new kind of organic organization in the community, a group of folks that named themselves the Society of Neighbors, went out and just did an impromptu cleanup around town on Sunday. My family did participate. So I want to thank you for that, and kind of keep an eye out for that group. They're looking for ideas of, again, organic ideas of things that need to be done around town. It might be an elderly person that needs help with their yard, or there's something else. So we're looking for ideas and want to engage with the community. What I really liked and appreciated was there was people from Raritan Township and the borough, and we all kind of came together and walked around. So I do appreciate that that organization getting started, and want to put a shout out to Dave and Ally Norton for organizing that event on Sunday. Then finally, as Councilman Rossetti mentioned, the Parks Committee and the Garden Committee, Community Garden Committee, decided to join forces and organize our Earth Day cleanup on the same day. So we've got a nice cleanup organized in Tucumcari Park on April 21st from 12 to 4. Show up for a half hour, an hour, 4 hours. We're going to have not only traditional cleanup items and invasive species removal. The AmeriCorps watershed people are going to be there to kind of encourage us to get rid of specific plants and not others, and really teach us how the right way to clean up and be kind to the earth. But not only that, but our local Habitat for Humanity has also been very generous to donate some supplies and manpower. So we're going to be doing some small projects in the park as well as cleanup. That's April 21st, 12 to 4 p.m. at Tucumcari. One big part. Thank you for reminding me, Lois.
Is that it, Councilwoman? Councilwoman, is that it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, we have a public comment session number 1. If anybody in the public has any comments, now is the time, or at the end of the meeting. Please, if you're in the room and you have a comment, come up to the microphone. I can't see. Council President, can you just let me know?
Yeah.
Somebody.
You have,
Yes.
Yep, you have Miss Stewart.
Okay. Lois, just your name again for the record.
Lois Stewart, resident of Farmington Borough. I have 2 things that I wanted to ask about, please. What activities are being sponsored by the borough for Arbor Day? It says encourage us to participate in activities, but what is actually transpiring in this borough? We are a tree city and we are.
I'll let Councilwoman Rossetti answer that because she is our shade tree liaison.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, so the Shade Tree Commission will be planting a tree at Rifus in celebration of Arbor Day. That is obviously mostly involved with the students, and they've correlated with the school, the teachers. And then they're actually going to be on Saturday the 20th over at Echo Hill. There's an Earth Day celebration going on there, where they'll have a table with activities for children and such to promote Earth Day that way.
Is the tree planting being advertised so that people from the community would know could come?
I can double check with them. Their meeting is later this week. However, I think, mostly it's just organized throughout the school. The school kids come out and do sort of a ceremony there. But I can get further details on that. If you're interested, Ms. Stewart, I can reach out to you once I talk to them.
Well, I just know that as a tree city, we are required to have something from the municipality, and I just would like to see that there might be a wider, an attempt to get wider participation from borough residents and not just.
Sure. I mean, my assumption is that with the school, for security concerns, they're probably keeping it somewhat limited, but I can ask them about anything else coming up moving forward for the rest of the community. Sure thing.
May I add that the Earth Day celebration, the 21st at the park, is going to be including giveaways of some seedlings for anybody that participates. And as well, the Shade Tree Commission has generously donated a tree in memory of Edna Pedrick for the Fleming House. So that's actually just the end of Arbor Day month. So
a tree will be planted at the Fleming House
in her honor. You're welcome.
The other thing I wanted on, trying to tap into or something. I got the impression that there was gonna be a discussion about water allotments. When is that going to take place?
I'm sorry, on the water what, Lois?
Allotments for how you allocate water out for future developers and how far ahead they're going to be able to tie up our water supply.
Oh, yeah, there's gonna, we do, there's gonna, I think we're gonna. I know that there was some issues. I think we're gonna be talking about that, maybe a little later. It's not on the agenda because, Chris, it's not on the agenda because we had some issues with, coming up with that point, right? That date. You wanna answer that?
The top or mile post for the timing of it. Alex from my office, who handles most of our water issues, along with the borough's engineer Terry Boat, spent some time even today, and quite a bit of time last week, working on this. I discussed it with the mayor, discussed it with Councilman Engelhardt as well. I have some new language that they've come up with on their third huddle on this. It's not easy to come up with the exact language as to when the time frame should be. But I like what they've come up with thus far, and I think that we'll have something for the next meeting.
So at the next meeting, we'll be introducing something in you believe?
So this is pretty close. There's some good points that I think Councilwoman Engelhardt has brought up to me that we're going to take a look at. That was on Friday. So I think that that'll be sort of the trajectory of this. But we should have something for the next meeting. Spice I agree is grandfather, so it doesn't affect them. So.
Right, okay. Okay, Miss Lois, so the next meeting will probably be introducing something that's got a timeline. Is that it? We're good?
Yep.
Is there anybody online that's got their hand up?
No, but Bill is on now.
Oh, good, all right. All right. Thank you for letting me know that, because we'll get to that in a second. Approval of minutes, can I have a motion for the special session meeting minutes of March 5, 2024?
Move.
Is there a second?
Second,
Roll call, please. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
yes.
Councilwoman Pissarro,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
and Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Hey, there's nothing under the consent agenda. Before we do the introduction of the ordinance, Bill Hance, I know you missed the presentation on the pilot. Or at least I think you did. I'm not positive if you did. I just wanted to know if you had any questions or issues or concerns regarding it. Is Bill on?
Yeah, he just became a panelist.
Okay.
He has to unmute.
Bill, you got on.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I heard a portion of it, but is there a way I can get an actual copy or something of that to review?
Oh,
And then
yeah,
I can-
absolutely.
I could
Yeah,
send it to you in the morning.
Okay, yeah, and then I'll review it and I'll see if I have any questions.
Great. If you do, we're going to introduce it tonight, and then we'll make sure whatever if you have any concerns, we'll get them addressed. Okay. Yeah, that would be good. And Bill, if you can hang out with us if it's possible for the library discussion, that would be great. All right, so item number 12, introduction ordinance. The first item agenda is ordinance 2024-06, an ordinance of the Borough of Flemington approving long-term tax exemptions for and the execution of financial agreements with one HPC Liberty Townhomes Urban Renewal LLC, 2 HPC Liberty Veterans Urban Renewal LLC, and 3 HPC Liberty Commercial Urban Renewal LLC in connection with the redevelopment project to be undertaken by such entities and affiliates, and authorizing pledge agreements and other documents in connection with the issuance by the borough of its redevelopment area bonds in an amount not to exceed $500,000 to finance a portion of the cost of such redevelopment project, and determining various other matters in connection therewith. Can I have a motion to introduce,
So moved.
please? Is there a second?
Engelhardt will second.
Just before we do the roll call, Jim Fearon, can you please explain for the record regarding the redevelopment area bonds, the $500,000, how that, in layman's terms, how that works to assuage any fears from the public that we are paying for any portion of this redevelopment?
Certainly. Can you all hear me? I stepped outside of my car. I just want to make sure you can hear me. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. So redevelopment area bonds are a financing vehicle that would basically have a set of bonds, in this case, no more than $500,000, that would be paid exclusively by a portion of the payment in lieu of taxes that would be assessed against the townhomes portion. The numbers that were previously discussed about the rates of pilot regard the net amount to the borough. In addition to those amounts, the 104 non-affordable townhome units will be assessed a charge equal to the debt service component for the payment of those RAB bonds. So even though they are issued by the municipality, they are payable by the municipality solely from and to the extent of that supplemental pilot payment that will be assessed against those 104 affordable units. It is, in a sense, an alternate financing vehicle by having $500,000 of the project cost being financed in this manner. The developer has $500,000 less of bank loans to take out or equity to contribute. And it is also a required component where certain terms of the pilot are required. And in this instance, the terms of the pilot required the use of RAB bonds in the process. And as a final step, I will say that a condition to the issuance of these RAB bonds is that at the appropriate time, the issuance will be subject to the review by the New Jersey Local Finance Board. And their oversight function largely is to ensure that there isn't any undue effect on the municipality and that the project feasibility is such that the RAB bonds are likely to be repaid. So that's my report.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please, Carla.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasara,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
and Councilman Parker,
Yes.
and Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 2, ordinance 2024-07, and ordinance amending chapters 4 licensing, 12 land development definitions, and 26 zoning to clarify cottage food establishments as a permitted use in the borough of Flemington. Can I have a motion to introduce, please?
Remove.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasara,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Item number 8, we have a public hearing tonight, ordinance 2024-05. You okay?
When's the public hearing for that?
Oh, I'm sorry. You tell me, April 20,
Second.
the ordinance for 2024-06 will be ready and will be do the public hearing when he has his approval or when Jim Farron says it's okay. Ordinance 2024-07 should be April 29th. Is that right?
Second.
April 22nd.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, public hearing ordinance 2024-05. An ordinance amending chapters 2, administration, and 3, police regulations to clarify the event permitting procedure in the borough of Flemington. This is a public hearing. Can I have a motion to open to the public?
Remove.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any members of the public wishing to make any comments regarding ordinance 2024-05? Please come forward or raise your hand if you're online. Anybody in the audience out there, Council President?
Could you explain what the changes are, what's happening?
I'm going to request that the soon-to-be Sergeant McNally explain what this is going to do for us.
Sure, you got it, Mayor. Hello. So basically, this is a culmination of over the last 18 months, we've been revamping how events are organized and permitted within the borough. Essentially, the way the old regulation was, applicants filled out a parade permit for events through the police department, and then planning was being done on that end. Vendor permitting was coming through Borough Hall for food trucks. Information was being requested from the DPW, and there was a lot of different hands in the pot, per se. So what we did is made one centralized application that starts and ends at Borough Hall, so that any event that's happening in the borough, the application comes out of Borough Hall. It's then distributed from Borough Hall to the public safety professionals, the DPW, the fire department as needed. And then the department heads can comment on that. The applicant gets the questions back. The questions come back to Borough Hall. The permit is then issued from here so that the staff at Borough Hall, who are responsible for the food vendor licensing, any of the fire inspections that need to happen at the event, are aware that the event is occurring and that it's permitted properly, so that inspections can be scheduled and that the proper fees are being collected. So it just pretty much tightens up how and when event permits are issued. You're welcome.
Any other questions from the public or comments? Anybody online, Carla?
Yeah, no questions.
Thank you. All right, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I will move.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I have a motion to adopt resolution 2024-05?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Councilwoman, Kendall?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pizarro?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
Council Vice President Rossetti?
Yes.
Under regular agenda, item 14, we have a series of promotions within the police department. These are, some of them are several years overdue, unfortunately, but I want to say thank you to Councilman Parker for getting these things ramped up. So resolution 2024-64, resolution authorizing the promotion of Sergeant Michael Marishin to the rank of lieutenant within the Flemington Police Department. Can I have a motion, please?
Parker.
Is there a second?
I'll go second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pizarro?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti?
Yes. Yes.
Motion passes. Resolution 2024-65, resolution authorizing the promotion Corporal Louis Herbeck into the rank of sergeant within the Flemington Police Department. Can I have a motion, please? Is there a second? Discussion? Roll call?
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pizarro?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 2024-66, resolution authorizing the promotion of Corporal Bradley Bowman to the rank of sergeant within the Flemington Police Department. Can I have a motion, please?
Parker moves.
I'll go
Second, please. Any discussion? Roll call?
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pizarro?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 2024-67. We want to table this?
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Resolution authorizing the promotion of Corporal Brian McNally to the rank of
I
sergeant
want to have
within
a lot of discussion.
the promotion of Corporal Brian McNally to the rank of sergeant within the Flemington Police Department. Can I have a motion, please?
Parker moves.
Is there a second?
I'll go second.
Any discussion?
Are you guys
Roll
sure?
call.
Are you Really, go ahead.
He's running the remote meetings.
Roll call, Carla.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
Council Vice President Fritz.
Yes.
Congratulations, Sergeant. Resolution 2024-68, resolution authorizing the promotion of Patrolman Dustin Kidd to the rank of corporal within the Flemington Police Department. Could I have a motion, please?
Parker motion.
Is there a second? Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
and Council Vice President.
Yes.
Resolution 2024-69, resolution approving the hiring of a police secretary. Just in case anybody didn't know, our secretary left her position, so this is a replacement. Can I have a motion, please?
Parker moves.
Is there a second?
Long will second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
Council Vice President Fritz.
Yes.
Thank you. Number 10, resolution 2024-70. Resolution by the Borough of Flemington authorizing approval to submit an award extension request for LA 2022 MA Flemington Borough William Street Road Improvement Project 10 to the New Jersey Department of Transportation. Just to let you all know, if you didn't know, this road, we have a grant from the DOT to do this overlay, which has been done. I mean, this road, it pre-exists me. It's been done a number of times. Suddenly the Department of Environmental Protection is requiring us to do an archaeological on this road. So we need an extension, and it's really out of control down in Trenton. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Is there a second? Any discussion?
What,
Roll call, please. What?
Marcia, what triggers an archaeological, review?
We
Or is
have no idea why they are doing this, honestly, Councilwoman. It is out of the blue. We've had this award for 2 years. DOT authorized to put it out to bid, and all of a sudden, our engineer received notice from the State Archaeological Division under the DEP that they were requiring an archaeological. And again, this road pre-exists my life. It has been milled and paved. I don't even know how many times.
Are they expecting something down there?
I don't know. They're just, in my opinion, there's just nobody watching that hen house down in Trenton right now. I mean, DEP is really requiring way more than they've ever required before. So
Is it a random, or is it could it be just a luck of the draw? Like they're just like you're required to, do reassessment every 5 years? Is it something that's random and we just got dumb luck?
our engineer, Terry Vogt, is completely befuddled about this. And he's beside himself as well. I mean, he's very, very upset. And no, I don't think so. I don't know.
Is there a process of appeal? Or can we ask Terry if there's a process of appeal?
Well, we can try, but we got to get this thing passed tonight. And then see
I
if
don't want to hold this up. I'm
we
just
can get it.
curious if we could ask Terry.
I mean, we can ask him. I really don't know. I mean, this just came out of the blue.
Wow.
It's a shame.
They never called. They never asked questions, just out of the blue.
But when you open Pandora's box, be careful. That's all I can say.
Right. Okay, roll call, please.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
and Council Vice President Fritz.
Yes.
Okay, resolution 2024-71. I'd like to have this discussed. I guess let's do a motion and a second so we can discuss it, because we can always table the vote. Or table the vote indefinitely. Can I have a motion, please?
Wait,
Mayor,
I didn't catch.
I don't think this resolution ended up in the packet.
Yeah, we didn't do a resolution.
Oh, that's interesting, because this is on my agenda from whenever you sent it to me to print out, Carla. So is that off?
Right, I was
The agen-
waiting for it, but you're not ready, right?
Well, the version
Well,
I
there's got to be a discussion about it. So, okay, so there is no resolution for them to vote on. Because I just, I brought my agenda here, so, all right, so we're gonna have, is it on the agenda to have a discussion about it?
no, Mayor, I would just move on from this.
Is it being
Yeah.
tabled?
It's gonna be tabled.
Okay, so, Chris, how do I proceed on this, please?
Just ignore it, Mayor, just go forward. It shouldn't, there's no
That,
resolution.
okay, thank you. Okay, so, the library has work to do. It is a commission and they are using their own money.
Mhm.
However, because they are coming through the borough, Bill Hance, our CFO, cannot certify their funds. Our attorney, who I'm gonna allow copious conversation with, and our CFO both believe that the library should be handling this in a different manner, through a dedication by rider, which is, a very technical way to handle one of our commissions or boards paying. So it actually creates more work for our CFO, but it is a safer mechanism for the library to present the funds to the borough and let our CFO certify them, and that he would be handling the bills. Attorney Corsini, do you want to explain this a little bit further, or CFO Hance, either one?
Mayor, I just, the library conducted this bid here, and we're just, working on a way to award it. We have more work to do on it. I don't have much more to say than that.
So,
What are they doing?
So,
It's a repairs to the.
there's window glazing repair. That's one of the items. And I think, I'm not sure if everybody on council or in the room understands, and Chris, you'll correct me, I'm sure, or Bill, the money comes from the funds on hand. Very nice request to the library. But I think because it is a public building, it still would have to filter through some sort of channel within our borough government for
well,
payment.
I don't think we should be discussing this until, Chris figures it out.
Okay.
Okay. Bill Hance, do you have anything you want to just comment about how a dedication by rider works?
He's
So
not
the
on.
council-
Oh, yes, he is.
Oh, he's not on now?
No, he is, sorry.
Mayor, I really do think that, we should not be discussing this
Was one of the projects that they did, where
Wait, Bill, I don't think.
Wait.
Yeah,
He
wait,
can
wait.
explain what a
What is-
dedication by rider is, can he, Chris?
Yeah, I really do think, Mayor,
Yeah.
that we should probably discuss this, a little bit more before we discuss it here. We just have a
Okay,
we have a couple moving parts here that we discussed, you, me, Carla, and Bill last week, and I just think it's premature. I think we'll be there next meeting, so.
okay. All right, so at the next meeting, it'll be ready to go, you think? Something will be ready to go?
I think so. Like I said, there's some things I want to review with regards to a couple prior procurements, which we left this on Friday, so. Prior procurements
Okay.
created by the library in years past.
Okay, so we're gonna get this on the agenda in some capacity for April 22nd.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, and Chris and or Bill, I would ask you to have conversations with Councilwoman Fasaro, who is the Library Commission liaison, so she fully understands what's going on, so she can communicate that properly with the library board. So, okay, moving on the agenda, we don't have a work session. We do have public comment session number 2. Does anybody from the public have any comments or questions? Again, I can't see. Council President, does anybody have their hands up?
Yes, Ms. Stewart has her.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Stewart.
Lois Stewart, resident of Flemington Borough. I just have a question about the police department. I love the police.
We love you, Lois.
But the thing is, if my memory serves me correctly, some number of years ago, there was a resolution, I think it was a resolution, passed by the then council as to the makeup of the police department.
Correct.
And how do these promotions?
It falls right in line with that.
so
Falls
these-
in line. You have so many sergeants, you have so many corporals, and you have so many lieutenants.
And so these promotions
Absolutely.
support that. thing.
Anybody else from the public? Anybody online, Carla?
Chief Jerry Rotella from Main Street. I'd just like to thank council and mayor for moving forward with the promotions. Well needed and well deserved by the officers, and we look forward to having the swearing in ceremony and moving forward. Thank you again.
Thank you.
I want you by my.
They personally or they?
Okay, the last item on the agenda is.
Wait, Robin has her hand up.
Okay. This is, I have to tell you, it's very annoying that I can't see the audience, and I know we always get to have the audience view, so I apologize, Robin.
No
Mark?
worries. It's Robin Lapidus, Executive Director of the Flemington Community Partnership. I waited for the second comment period to officially thank Sergeant McNally for his incredible help with our very, very successful Easter event. Some of our businesses said it felt like a second Christmas for them. And they were just amazed by the 200 plus families with kids that came and pretty much did a scavenger hunt through the businesses. And we were very grateful to have the CERT volunteers who I think crossed people at 5 or 6 intersections. And it was just, it was a wonderful day on Main Street, and we're very grateful. And I also wanted to thank the chief and all of the Flemington Police Department for increasing their visits to our businesses. We've had many businesses call us to say how wonderful it's been to have the officers coming in and being present on a regular basis. So we really appreciate that. And we're looking forward to a great spring. Thank you.
Thank you. And please don't take this as a criticism, Robin. I was
Sure.
having lunch at Shaker Cafe that day, and they didn't know anything about what was going on. They kept saying to me, there's so many people on Main Street today. There's so many kids. What's going on? So I think that when we do stuff like this, the businesses that aren't direct participants really need to know also, because they had an uptick. I believe they had an uptick. I'm sure a lot of the restaurants had an uptick in business, and they need to be prepared as well. So, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be good, not a criticism. I just think that
I understand.
businesses that aren't direct, yeah. So great.
we're
Congratulations.
we're hoping that as the level of activity increases, we'll have better communications in both directions.
Okay, thank you
Thank
so much.
you. Thanks.
Anybody else that I've missed out there, Carla?
Nope.
Okay, I do not have the amount of money for the bills, so.
There's no bill left.
Okay, well, that would explain why I don't have an amount of money. So that would be, did I miss anything else on the agenda? Anything else come out, Carla?
Nope. That's it.
Okay, so that's it. We do not have an executive session tonight. I want to thank everybody for calling in, if you were traveling or sick or whatever. And thank you to the council. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move. Parker second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Safe travels, Marcia.
Thank you. Thank you. You too, Liz and Trent, where